Corinth, Greece. Not just a Greek city, an ancient Greek city. For us, 4 places to see: the ancient ruins, the Corinth Canal, the beach, and the modern city. First stop, ancient Corinth.
We're in the ancient city of Corinth where the Apostle Paul came to preach.
2 books of the Bible are written to the church in Corinth by the Apostle Paul, who visited here 3 times. This is actually the site of ancient Corinth, occupied from before 3000 BC, but most historical sources date back to the early 8th century BC, when Corinth began to develop as a commercial center. This hill has seen much happen in the last few thousand years. In places like this, I'm always trying to imagine what was going on a couple of thousand years ago. People selling their produce. Perhaps a traveler buying pita bread. This is the Temple of Apollo, built on a hill that was the highest part of the city. When excavations began here, the columns of the Temple of Apollo were all that were visible. Having said that, it was built in 540 BC upon an earlier foundation that's even older, 2,500 years old and still standing. Many of the ancient ruins here date back at least 2,000 years. In times past, however, this has been an unfortunate place to live, having suffered 2 major earthquakes and a great fire. We can gaze on well-preserved ruins and remind ourselves that the Apostle Paul no doubt walked down this road and preached under the iconic Corinth mountain that overlooks the old city, and which was at one time the location of the notorious Temple of Aphrodite. They would have used drachma, silver coin of ancient Greece, dating from about the mid-6th century BC, that was one of the world's earliest coins. Its name derives from the Greek verb meaning to grasp, and its original value was the equivalent of that of a handful of arrows. So if this is an important Christian site, we might ask, is there any mention of it in the Bible? Well, this is the Bema, a raised platform where officials gave public addresses, erected around 44 BC, and to which the Jews brought Paul for judgment by Gallio, the proconsul of Achaia. Biblical history was enacted right here. Corinth is described in the Bible as an evil city where all kinds of debauchery existed, and certainly the Temple of Aphrodite, with 1,000 ceremonial prostitutes, bears this out. Desiring to change this, the apostle stayed here and preached for 18 months, staying with his friends Aquila and Priscilla, who had fled from Rome when the Emperor Claudius expelled all the Jews from the city in 49 AD. Rachel was on camera too today, so we got great shots. One very interesting fact is that not only did Paul write 2 letters to the Corinthians, but he also wrote some letters from Corinth during his time here, notably to the Romans and probably the Thessalonians. Not only is biblical history here, the fountain of Pyrene, a spring in Greek mythology, is located here and was said to be a favored watering hole of Pegasus, the mythical winged horse, the child of Poseidon. The legend about Pyrene is that she was a woman who became a spring because of her tears shed in lamentation for her son Cancreus, who was unintentionally killed by Artemis. Poets would travel here to drink the water and receive inspiration. There's a museum here, the Archaeological Museum of Ancient Corinth, that contained many exhibits found here. Though I was intrigued that outside they had headless statues, and inside bodiless heads. Our final visit here was to the nearby Roman Odeum. An Odeum is a Roman theatre. The one here was constructed in the 1st century AD and is estimated to have held an audience of 3,000 spectators for cultural performances of music and rhetoric. But now it's time to take a trip down the Corinth Canal. The trip from the ruins of ancient Corinth to the Isthmia, the entrance of the Corinth Canal, takes about 20 minutes. We're about to take a catamaran ride all the way through the canal and back. We'll then go to a shopping area nearby where we can get some views down onto the canal and do a little shopping. Here comes the boat. This is gonna be fun. Rachel is already enjoying herself.
We're on the canal.
The Corinth Canal.
Correct.
We have good seats, and we await the okay from the control tower. Here we go. Corinth is actually a great place to visit, as we get to see the ancient ruins, take a canal trip, and finally get to explore the city all in one day. The tour included a running commentary describing, explaining, and pointing out the relevant features. It is without doubt a scenic ride. We're actually traveling from east to west first. There are a number of ways to cross over the canal. The first we encounter is a submersible bridge, which actually lowers below the water to allow boats to go over. There are 2 of these, one at each end of the canal. The banks at each end are not so high, and a bridge over the water would be a major undertaking. Further along, the banks are very high, and 4 road bridges, 2 railway bridges, and a footbridge also span the canal. Ever since I was a kid, I heard of the legendary Corinth Canal, conceived by Roman emperors such as Caligula, Julius Caesar, and Nero. The philosopher Apollonius prophesied that anyone who tried to dig a Corinthian canal would fall ill. In fact, all three Roman rulers who considered the idea died before their time. Julius Caesar considered it, but was assassinated before he could even begin. Caligula, the third Roman emperor, commissioned a study in 40 AD from the Egyptian experts who claimed, incorrectly, that the Corinthian Gulf was higher than the Saronic Gulf, but he was assassinated. Then finally Nero died after laying the foundation stone. Toward the end of the canal is a memorial of the attempt, a relief of Hercules carved into the bank by Nero's workers that still remains today. Nero was the first to try to construct the canal, personally breaking ground with a pick in 67 AD, but work stopped as soon as he died. The builders dug the canal at sea level, so no locks were built. It's 6.4 kilometers in length, that's 4 miles, and only 21.3 meters or 70 feet wide at its base. I wonder what's up there. Bungee jumping. And what goes up must come down. And up. And down. And up. And down. I have to say, when I first saw this, I thought somebody had fallen off the bridge. Construction started in 1881, but was delayed by all kinds of problems, and it was finally completed in 1893. Because it's quite narrow, modern ships cannot pass through, so it's now mainly used for tourist boats. A shopping mall was next on the agenda, from where we certainly had a different perspective of the canal.
We are now on the bridge, looking over the Corinth Canal.
From this viewpoint, one can get some idea of the scale of the undertaking. This is without doubt a wow shot, showing a fantastic feat of engineering. Meanwhile, the show goes on.
What do you think? Is there a mirror?
We've seen ancient Corinth and the legendary Corinth Canal. Now we get the opportunity to stroll around the city, take in the sights, meet the people, and enjoy the Mediterranean weather. It's indeed a delightful city, and there's much here that signals its ancient heritage. It's actually only 78 kilometers, 48 miles from Athens. The most prominent building is the Greek Orthodox Cathedral of St. Paul, situated right in the heart of the city. After a brief look around, Rachel wanted to head to the beach. Yes, you heard right, the beach. There's a beach here. She wanted to eat a traditional Greek snack overlooking the waves. And that's just what we did.
We finally made it to the beach.
There's something about just sitting watching the waves that appeals to both of us. This was a beautiful, quiet spot. The restaurant right on the edge of the sea, and Rachel made a memory. A great view and great food. Pork, chicken, kebab, bread and chips. Rachel loves the sea, but the best she got to do was to paddle in it. It's not a sandy beach, more like a shell beach. Then a stroll through the city. How should I describe it? Colorful, perfect weather, warm but a gentle breeze, no crowds. Interesting. The church is all beautiful, plenty of greenery. It was just great fun to walk around. Exploring a little. It's a super clean place, and the center of the city very beautiful, not even a hint of heavy traffic. Citrus fruit all over the place. Scenic tree-lined boulevards. We then came across one of the world's most famous statues, Aphrodite de Milos, mistakenly known as Venus de Milo, a copy of the one in the Louvre in Paris that bears a canny resemblance to Rachel, the original being the work of Alexandros of Antioch. The difference being the statue is harmless, Rachel is dangerous. Next stop, Mio Gusto Coffee, my flavor.
George.
George.
Great place, and most important, great coffee. George was special.
George, you say this year in January it's snow?
Yes.
One more time.
So shy.
Okay, one more time. So what's the weather like in winter?
It was snowing. Yes, and the last time that snow here was before 11, 12 years ago.
12 years
Yes.
ago. Wow. So it rests on the ground?
Yes.
How deep? Half an
About
inch?
half a meter.
Half a meter?
Yes. Was,
Heavy snow?
Yes.
Whoa.
It was a lot.
Yeah, so that for in 11 years, the only one time?
Yes.
George gave us a Greek lesson.
Is ne.
Ne.
No is off.
Oshi.
Sound bad, you know.
Oshi.
Oshi.
It's different.
Oshi. I'll just never be able to say no.
Yeah.
Hello is.
Yeah.
Oh, the G is like a Y. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, George. Yeah. Canena problema.
No problem. George was definitely the best part of the visit. The coffee was great. The seafront promenade, beautiful. Pegasus dancing among the fountains.
There are a lot of concrete buildings that have been abandoned, I guess, because of structural issues, because of the really bad earthquake in 1981.
It's an earthquake zone that makes life difficult for them. The 1981 earthquake did extensive damage, and 34 people were hospitalized for injuries here. That's our ship in the harbor. I have to say how much we loved the place, the people, the beautiful city. Really enjoyable. The marina, home to pleasure boats as well as fishing boats. Looking back, I'm amazed at how few people were there. It was a really quiet interlude. A great place to stroll around and relax. Then we strolled back to the ship. It feels like we've been here for a week. We managed to do so much in so little time.